Breaking news. Emergency meeting going on in Asorock as military about to announce coup d'etat and take over power in Abuja. Hear the news in details. Wonderful people of Biafra, lovers of freedom all over the world, you are welcome once again to Biafra Unite channel / television this very moment. Today's date is 25th of February 2024, and I have a breaking information for every one of you listening to my voice right now from where you are all over the world. Biafrans and lovers of freedom, it don't happen. That time that we all have been waiting for is about to happen. But there is something that the Prime Minister, Biafra Republic Government in Exile, Mazi Simon Ekpa, said a couple of days ago. He said that it will be very, very difficult to carry out coup d'etat in the zoo called Nigeria because they are divided. For example, the Chief of Army Staff is a Yoruba man called Labaja, Lambanja, or whatever they call the idiot. And for the fact that the Chief of Army Staff is a Yoruba man, I am very certain that some top members of his cabinet will as well be Yoruba people or be populated by Yorubas. Therefore, you have to rule out any coup d'etat being carried out by top military officials. And of course, Igbo military officers cannot in any way accept to carry out coup d'etat in the zoo. They know what is going to be the consequence. So therefore, the Fulani soldiers, who may well be young soldiers or, junior soldiers, will be the ones to plan this very coup d'etat, which is about to take place. So it may be very, very difficult. They may not even succeed. If they try it, they may not succeed because the top military officers are Yoruba, people. So let us read, because I don't want to analyze anything. I still stand on my prediction even before the so-called presidential election when I said that Tinubu will be announced as the winner. But he is not going to last there, because it's either he will be ousted by the Fulani terrorist Boko Haram, or he will be ousted by the same Fulani terrorists in military. I predicted it and I still stand there. I have been proven right by the so-called INEC announcing Tinubu as the winner, and we are waiting to see how Tinubu will be ousted. If you are listening to this very news from our main YouTube channel, which is Biafra Unite with capital letter, our main channel is currently having issues because of series of attacks from the zoo operators. Therefore, we have created a new YouTube channel and of course a new Facebook page, which the links are down below the description. I want to ask you to click the links and of course subscribe to our new YouTube channel and our new Facebook page, which is where we will be dropping all our new updates moving forward, as our main channel and our main Biafra Unite television Facebook page are all having issues because of series of attacks that we have received over the months. Thank you. Let us move and read the news in details. And according to the title from Sahara Reporters, as you can see on your screen, they said, exclusive: Presidential Guards Brigade placed on high alert over suspicions of coup plot in Nigeria. Key brigade under watch as commander holds emergency meetings with Tinubu and Bajabi Amela. No be me they talk amo. Akam de Kocha. So you don't say the Biafra, they have come again with their propaganda. No. I'm reading this news from Sahara Reporters. They say chief commander, or should I say key brigades under watch as commander holds emergency meeting with Tifnubu, the drug lord, and Bajabi Amela. Now let us read. This is today. Don't joke. In fact, not just today. This is just few minutes, ago. A breaking news indeed. Look at it here, February 25th, 2024. Now, last week, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, warned people calling for a coup over the current economic hardship in Nigeria to desist from such. The Presidential Guards Brigade has been put on high alert following unusual movements, leading to suspicions of a coup plot in Nigeria. Oh, there has already been a movement. Unusual movement. One that shall never end. Sahara reporters exclusively learned on Sunday today that the suspicions prompted emergency meetings involving the commander of the Presidential Guard Brigade, Colonel Adebisi Onasanya, President Bola Tinubu, and the Chief of Staff, Femi Bajabi Amela. That name. The Presidential Guards Brigade was placed on high alert after unusual armored corps movement spurred coup suspicion. Last week, Colonel Onasanya met with the President and Chief of Staff twice within 20 hours. They have also placed key brigades under watch due to planned protests, a top presidency source told Sahara reporters. There has been tension in the country amid the current hardship, rising inflation and high cost of living following the removal of fuel subsidy and floating of the naira by President Tinubu's administration. The floating of the naira allows the market forces to determine its value. The policies have pushed up the prices of goods and services astronomically, increased the rate of inflation, and worsened hardship in the country. Last week, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, who has been declared missing by Nigerian Senate, warned people from his hideout, calling for a coup over the current economic hardship in Nigeria to desist from such. Musa, from his hiding place, who said the armed forces would continue to protect the country's democracy, warned that the long arms of the law will soon catch up with the proponents of coup d'etat. They are lamenting. The zoo is in big mess, in trouble. In fact, the zoo is finished. Now, let me tell you. Other countries in West Africa that have carried out coup d'etat in recent times have succeeded because there is nothing like agitation for separation in those countries. I want you to remember this. There is nothing like agitation for separation in those countries. So they succeeded. The whole country is backing them, is backing the military juntas that have taken over power in those countries in West Africa. Now, the zoo is exception. It is not the same. The zoo, Biafra, is fighting for freedom. Yorubas, partially, Yorubas are partially fighting for freedom as well, even though it is no longer from Igboho. Because as it stands today, I'm not sure if Igboho will continue the agitation for the Yoruba nation, unless if something like this happens. Now, some Northerners have already started talking about division, allowing the Igbos to go and the breakup of the zoo. So the zoo is in shambles. Any coup d'etat in the damnable zoological Republic of Animal Kingdom today will, open the door, the widest door for the total disintegration of the damnable zoologic. And remember, in the olden days, in 60s and 70s, when there were different coup d'etats in the zoo, and they all succeeded without the breakup of the zoo, was because there was no agitation as at that time. Igbos wanted the zoo, Yorubas wanted the zoo, the Hausas wanted the zoo. And remember, the Fulanis have not made their intention public as at that time. Their intention of taking over the zoo and making it their own, destroying and killing people, the indigenous populations, wiping them off and taking over their land, as we have all witnessed in some part of Middle Belt today. It has never been like that before. So, Nke Azua, it will never happen. If there is any coup d'etat today in the zoo, that is the final, that will be the last straw that breaks the camel's back. Now, let me continue reading. While fielding questions from journalists when he inaugurated the main entrance of the 6th Division, Nigeria Army and Officers Transit Accommodation in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, the CDS admitted that the country was going through serious economic challenges. He, however, insisted that having a military coup in the country was not an option. He said, the military would protect Nigeria's democracy. How can military protect Nigeria's democracy? This is the statement of people that have lost their root. A failed, useless set of leaders, old cargoes. How on planet Earth should military be the one to protect democracy? Military is all about autocracy. How can the military protect democracy? I don't understand the meaning of democracy. Do they really understand the meaning of democracy? Military is for autocracy, not democracy. So how can military be the one to protect democracy? Only in the zoo can such a thing happen. They say, as according to him, Nigerians want democracy and the country does better under democracy. He said the military would, adding that the people calling for coup d'etat are evil people who don't mean well for Nigeria. He wants such people to be very careful because the law will come after them. Which law are you talking about, Musa? According to him, everybody goes through a trying period in life. You can see the government putting effort to ensure that we come out better. Never. And it is when you go through difficulties and come out better, you will really appreciate what it is to build a nation, he said. Musa, shame unto you. Your people are dying in Middle Belt where you come from. You are here talking about a nation that is nowhere to be found. Nigeria's naira recently crashed to a record low against the dollar on the official market. Last week, Sahara Reporters reported that the naira exchanged for 1,980 naira to $1 on the parallel market and 1,780 naira on the official market as the swift decline continued amid the government clampdown on currency speculators. Meanwhile, there have been protests against hardship, rising inflation, and high cost of living in several parts of the country following some economic policies of President Tinubu's administration. For instance, there have been protests in Kano, Ogun, Niger, Sokoto, Oyo, and Osun states to express their displeasure with the unprecedented level of hunger in the land. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Labour Congress had announced a nationwide protest scheduled for February 27 and 28 to kick against the economic challenges facing Nigerians. Thank God we are Biafrans, we are no Nigerians. So Nigerians should continue their protest while Biafrans continue their fight for freedom. The decision came after a 14-day ultimatum issued to the Nigerian government regarding the widespread hardship. But the Department of State Services DSS and the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi San have urged the NSC to shelve its proposed nationwide protest. Similarly, the Trade Union Congress has warned that the planned protest being championed by the NLC may lead to anarchy due to the tense nature of the country amid current hardship and prevailing hunger in the land. Now my concern. The government warned that the NLC will be in contempt of court if the planned protest was held. But a senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, has written to Fagbemi, noting that NLC will not be in contempt of law over its planned nationwide protest. In the letter dated February 24, 2024, and addressed to the Fagbemi, Falana said, "We submit without any fear of contradiction that the proposed public protest of the NLC is not contemptuous of the two ex parte orders of the National Industrial Court in particular. The issue of contempt does not arise as the NLC has challenged the jurisdiction of the National Industrial Court to entertain the substantive case." History of coups in Africa. Indeed, the African continent has seen a significant increase in coups in the last 3 years, with military figures carrying out takeover in Gabon, Niger, Burkina Faso, Sudan, Guinea, Chad, and Mali. Of 492 attempted or successful coups carried out around the world since 1950, Africa has seen 220, the most of any region, with 109 of them successful. Jonathan Powell and Clayton Tynes data show. Powell told VOA this is because Africa tends to have many of the conditions that are normally associated with coups. Coups have become increasingly limited to the poorest countries in the world, and the recent wave of coups fits into that. Burkina Faso, Guinea, Chad, and Mali all had less than $22 billion in GDP in 2022, according to a World Bank estimate, while Sudan had a GDP of $52 billion. By comparison, the United States GDP was worth $25 trillion in 2022, ranking it the highest in the world. $25 trillion in 2022. Countries experiencing ongoing terrorism campaigns and insurgency are also disproportionately more likely to see coups, according to Powell, as well as those nations whose leaders lack legitimacy in the eyes of their citizens or armed forces, which the zoo has fallen into this category without any question. Leaders of the Niger coup in July 2023, as well as those who took over the government in Burkina Faso in September 2022, cited their government failure to stem a deadly Islamist insurgency in the Sahel and as part of the justification for their takeovers. Out of 54 countries on the African continent, 45 have had at least one coup attempt since 1950, according to data collected by Powell and Tyne, narrowing the focus to only those countries that have experienced a successful takeover, one in which perpetrators hold power for at least 7 days. That number drops to 37, or about 2/3 of nations on the continent. Wow. Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation, had a long history of coups following independence in 1960, with 8 coup attempts, 6 of them successful. However, since 1999, the country has transferred power through democratic elections and helped usher in greater stability in West Africa and the continent as a whole, the report noted. Mad people everywhere.